I mean, I can get those 4 round, 5 round, but I lose it. Okay guys, here we are with the TAC CON 3MR, the third mode reset trigger. There's just been all kinds of hype on YouTube and on the internet ever since this thing came out, and I've just been super excited to get my hands on one to see what I can do with it. As it comes in the box, this says NFA compliant, and it actually does come with a little card saying as much. But when you open it up, it just comes as a drop-in trigger pack. It'll come with a safety selector and a couple of trigger pins. And this is just super easy to put together. One of the things I would like to reach out to TAC CON about is, why the hell aren't they doing this thing ambi? There's just no reason not to do this ambidextrous. If you're doing it, do it right. This just doesn't cut it. But as far as the trigger itself, very easy to put in. Get these trigger pins. I did have a little bit of difficulty when you drop it into your lower. You won't want to seat it right away. As you can see, you'll get some interference here. So if you take it and kind of angle it and then drop your safety selector into place and then kind of rock this into place, you'll have it'll just be a lot easier for you. And you'll see you want to kind of push that to where you can get your pins and push them in. It's just that easy. Once you get your safety selector in place, obviously drop your detent back into place. If you go in there. And that's pretty much it. Let me screw this pistol grip on here real quick. Okay guys, once you get your pistol grip back in place, you're good to go. As you can see, we got safety, we got single fire mode, which the trigger is a just super short travel and very short reset in that the single fire mode. So I mean, it's just like a single stage trigger. You give you a little bit of let off, crisp reset, and just super short. So just in single fire mode, you know, as everybody has been saying, it's a nice trigger. But when you flip it over to the third mode, that's when it gets interesting. As you can see, I hope you can see if it focuses in correctly. You'll have that paddle, this paddle right here. Now you have your disconnector up here, but then this little lever, when that hammer comes back, it'll connect with that lever right there, which will basically send the trigger forward, basically resetting. But you do still have to let off. It's not just as simple as it resets itself. You do still have to let off and reset, because otherwise it wouldn't be ATF compliant. And I think this is where guys are getting into trouble and just, you know, not, or feeling that, you know, this trigger system isn't what it claims to be. I don't think they're catching on to the timing or the rhythm of this. When that hammer comes back and connects with that, it's basically giving you an indicator. It's basically telling you, it's cueing you. It's saying, okay, let off and pull again. So as you can see, I'm still holding on to it. I still have to let off. I mean, just a freaking hair. And then it's ready to go again. So it'll come back, hit that lever, reset, and then I'll have to let off just a little bit and go. So I mean, it is still your standard one trigger pull, one fire. It's basically giving you that reset, and it's cueing you. Now if you're responsive to that cue, you'll let off and it'll be pretty much a seamless string of fire. But if you're not paying attention, or you don't respond to it correctly, and I think that's where a lot of these guys are having problems with, it's just not working out for them, and they say, oh, you know, this trigger system, you know, isn't what it claims to be. It's my opinion this trigger system is what it claims to be. It's a fantastic, very rapid shooting trigger. But I did have one issue with it. Basically, this trigger system was going into my new build. If you've watched my channel, I've been just all kinds of crazy for 545 builds in the AR platform. But unfortunately, this trigger system, the hammer spring weight is just not heavy enough for it. It's your traditional 556 223 hammer spring, and if any of you have done alternate builds and different calibers, maybe you've run into this problem, that 556 is a relatively light strike primer. 762 by 39, 545 by 39 takes a significantly heavier hammer spring, and that's one of the issues that led me to going with basically having all Geisseleys in most of my setups, because Geisseleys build just ultra heavy hammer springs, basically meant to ignite military surplus 308 rounds. And unfortunately, the 545 by 39 and even the 762 by 39 have just much heavier primers. And if you can see, we just got just a bunch of duds. I mean, I basically hand cycled it through probably a magazine or two, and just out of 2 magazines or so, maybe it fired, you know, 5 or 10 rounds, and all the rest of them were duds. So I was pretty disappointed with that. But I was thinking, well, shit, if I can get this thing to work with 22, I'll still be just as happy. So I switched over to 22, my 22 uppers, and basically the same thing. If we can see, just a bunch of light primers. or it's just not hitting with enough force to ignite those rimfire casings. So again, just a whole handful of duds. And the 22 was basically worse. Basically cycled, fired, a couple of rounds. Then I got irritated with it and said, okay, screw it. Switched over to the 5.56, got a whole different story. I mean, that thing, basically right from the start, and I was getting 3 rounds. And then, basically as I got more and more familiar with the way the trigger was giving me feedback, turned those 3-round bursts into 5 to 6 to 8, and then just continued on until I was getting 12 half magazine dumps just easily. Still wasn't able to pull off a full mag dump, but I mean when you do a 10 to 15 round string of fire, you're like, holy shit, this thing's badass. I mean, I don't really know how practical it is to just straight up dump a mag. I mean, if you're doing that, I guess you are in serious trouble trying to get yourself out of it. But if I can consistently do 6 10-round bursts with this thing, it's worth every penny, absolutely, with 5.56. I did get a chance to talk to the owner. He said they are developing a heavier hammer spring because they would like to market this as basically an all-purpose trigger system that can go in either 5.56 or AR-10, AR-15 or AR-10 guns. So they are developing a heavier hammer spring. I did, as I was kind of goofing around with it, I'll show you a little roll-in of the different hammer springs. Here's the original TAC CON hammer spring. Here's a comparison of the Geisley on the bottom and the TAC CON on the top. Again, Geisley on the left and a TAC CON on the right. And here's the TAC CON on the left, Geisley in the middle, and a Wolf Extra Power on the right. But I took, this is basically how their hammer spring looks or works. And this is a Wolf Extra Power hammer spring that I basically took and modified myself. Now I haven't tried this, but I definitely am going to, and we'll post that video later. But also too, he basically told me to send him an email and he'll send me out the Extra Power hammer springs as soon as he can. So when those come in, we'll do another video, and if that hammer spring doesn't work, I'll try this one. When I did put this one in, it definitely made the trigger pull heavier, so I wasn't real excited about that. But as far as this with 5.56, it's exactly what it claims to be, guys. This is just a fantastic high rate of fire. It's still semi-auto. It's still 1 pull of the trigger, 1 round fired. You just have to feel the feedback and respond to it. I mean, immediately. And I think that's what some people are having trouble with. So as for the TAC CON 3MR, 2 thumbs up. It's good stuff. So thanks for watching. See if I can get this thing to do again.